Hello.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Vision Driven Family Institute live broadcast for today, November 11, 2017. We will be your hosts this afternoon. My name is Andrew Joyner.
And I'm Kiana Joyner.
And we will be taking you on a journey this morning with the introduction to holistic wellness. That will be our topic this morning.
Yep.
And so we are very excited to get things kicked off this morning with you. Just to start off really quickly, we want to remind you that the Vision Driven Family Institute, our mission is to educate leaders to fulfill their family's purpose, build wealth, and empower generations. Mm-hmm. And you can find us on Facebook at the Vision Driven Family Facebook page or on our website
at www.visiondrivenfamily.com. Before we get into things, we do want to say Happy Veterans Day
to
all the veterans. Thank you for your service. We truly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So we're just going to jump right in here this morning, this afternoon. We do want to remind you that if you go out to the Vision Driven Family website, you can check out all of our other content. We have quite a few books on the website. You can also request conferences or coaching, individual coaching through the website. So if that's something you are interested in, definitely go check that out on the website.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll start off with our quote. So our first quote is, "The Creator has not given you a longing to do that which you have no ability to do." So again, the Creator has not given you a longing to do that which you have no ability to do. And that's by Orison Swett Marden. And he was an author and founder of Success Magazine.
Yes, and that quote is very significant to our topic today. Mm-hmm. Once again, it's Introduction to Holistic Wellness. Yep. Introduction to Holistic Wellness. So we probably should start off by giving you a little bit of a history, if you will, on how we came about coining that term, holistic wellness. I'm sure there are others out there who have used that same terminology before, so we're not trying to bite anybody's style or anything like that. It's just something that organically came up in our hearts just over the last few years, really. It's kind of this journey.
It kind of developed over time through a series of events that have happened and choices that we made that led to us kind of feeling like this sums up, what we're living and what our vision is.
Absolutely. So basically, it really goes back quite a few years, even before Kiana and I were married. When I was in college, I kind of went through a little bit of a shift in my priorities on what I wanted to do with my life. At the time, when I was in college, I thought it was going to be going into medicine, and then I switched and going into political science, and then I switched again and went into business management, which is what I eventually graduated with. But sometime around my sophomore year, I really felt this strong pull on my heart for ministry. And when I say ministry, I don't necessarily mean pastoring a church or anything like that, but more or less, I had a pull to serve people in a different way. Right, and really serve them in more of a spiritual way, and empowerment, encouragement, things of that nature. And so even back then is when the seed was planted to kind of take us on this journey. And Kiana and I were actually just saying earlier today, it's almost like it's been like a scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
And you know how a scavenger hunt, you get one clue, and as you figure out that clue, it leads you to the next clue. But you don't necessarily know what the end result is going to be. You don't necessarily know, what it's going to look like. But that's kind of what it's been like for us. So we've just kind of gotten one piece, and then that's taken us to the next piece, and that's taken us to the next piece over a span of time. And we're not even finished yet. There's still so much more to learn. So
Yeah, and for me, I initially started off as a science major in college, and then didn't really feel fulfilled in that area. And one of my friends had recommended, "Well, what about social work? Have you thought about that?" And I'm very glad I listened to him. Shout out to Teron Buford. because that led me on a path of truly being able to live out what I was already doing. I was already encouraging women and, just being a light and being a support and being someone that people felt comfortable going to about certain things. So it was nice to be able to box that in a profession where I can get paid for it, for counseling, and really feel like I'm living out my vision. So, so I'm really glad that I made that change. And like you said, everything has really led to, where we're at now.
Yeah. So, holistic wellness, when we break down the two words, holistic, we're talking about total, in totality. And when we talk about wellness, we're talking about your well-being, and not just mental wellness or physical wellness, but again, linking back to holistic, it's a whole life well-being that we really want to promote. And this fits right in with the vision, or the family's vision, and how we decide to communicate that to others, because we're really talking about a system that families can follow to create a better tomorrow, right, for themselves and for the generations ahead. So you need all pieces. You need your physical health, you need your mental health, you need your spiritual health, and you need financial health. You also need health in relationships. So it all matters when we're talking about building a family vision and bringing that to life.
Yeah, it's all significant. So we'll probably dive into, some of the pieces a little bit more, so that we have time to get through everything.
Absolutely.
So spiritual is the first component of holistic wellness that we want to touch on. And just, it's important to recognize that, you hear people say, well, I'm only human, so blah, 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 but you're not. You're not just human. That's a very, very small piece of yourself. You are spirit.
Yes.
And there's a lot that goes into that. And it's important for every person to realize that you are spirit, because when you do, there's so much more of a fulfillment with that, and you don't feel just this mundaneness that goes along with life.
Right.
Like we kind of talked about, if you focus on all these other components, if you focus on the physical health and nutrition and having friends and all this other stuff, but if you neglect your spirit, then you still feel empty. You still feel like there's something else, something that you're missing, and that can lead people to suicide and all of those sorts of things.
Yeah.
When you don't realize that life is much bigger than just this physical world and just what you see.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's so important. And so along with spiritual health, we have to talk about our relationship with God, our relationship with the Creator. And by no means are we trying to push Christianity on anyone. That is the background that we come from is Christian and following Jesus Christ. But we realize that not everybody in the world is Christian. Not everybody follows the teachings of the Bible. But I do know that God is no respecter of persons. He's no respecter of any particular religious following, any religious doctrine, anything like that. And so he can meet you right where you are at.
Yep.
And if we're going to have true spiritual health, spiritual well-being, we have to connect to the source, right? We have to connect back to the source, because that is, in essence, who we truly are. We are spirit beings who are having a human experience. Mm-hmm. And so until we fully understand and realize that and come to terms with that piece, you won't ever fully be fulfilled spiritually. And so, we totally encourage you to start to seek and discover for yourself, what the truth is in terms of your spiritual reality.
Mm-hmm. And some too, it's connecting through nature and different. There's a lot of ways that you can connect, but just finding that for yourself, what makes you feel whole, and that's where you'll find that deeper meaning.
Absolutely. So the spiritual piece really connects back to the live broadcast from last week. Shout out to Aunt Janice and Uncle Philip.
Thanks for tuning in live.
Yes. Shout out to them. And they were talking about identifying your spiritual gifts. And even Kiana did a response video earlier this week talking about her experience with spiritual gifts. This is where that comes in, finding out what is your purpose. What are you on this earth to accomplish? I guarantee you, when you discover it, you will find out it's somehow related to serving other people.
Yep. Yeah, it's all about others. Like, so, we don't exist on this earth on our own, and that goes into the relational piece that we'll touch on later. But we're all connected.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are one. We are the people.
I are we.
Yeah, right. But did want to say that, we're going to just kind of give a brief synopsis of each big header. And in future videos to come, we'll kind of go deeper into each one and spend, a whole session on just,
that
spiritual or mental or physical or whatever we're talking about. So just wanted to let you know that this is not going to be an exhaustive presentation on just spiritual, but we're going to just kind of give you a little snippet, just a little taste, taste.
Get you wanting more.
Yeah. So the next item is mental health or mental wellness. And this is an area where, Kiana is formally trained in this realm, being a clinical social worker working in the mental health field. So why don't you share a little bit for us on the mental wellness and mental well-being?
Yeah, so this is extremely important. I think it encompasses so much because we operate, through our emotions and, every single day. And you can tell when someone is emotionally drained and stressed and overwhelmed and frustrated and fed up. And, you can see that because it really takes the light out of that person. I'm sure we can think of someone, even in our minds who has just, maybe felt really beat up by life. And you can tell when that's really taken a toll on them. Some people look older.
Absolutely.
They're like, what? You're 25. You look like you're 45.
Right. Because all that stress.
Yeah, because of what you've been through. Some have had to grow up too fast.
Yeah.
Whether it's life circumstances or children or family or whatever it may be. But life can have a way of kind of beating you up if you're not taking care of yourself. So this area is very important to truly have peace of mind. If you wake up and if you feel like you don't have any time for you and that you're just don't have peace, that can carry over into every single area of your life, and it can really distract from being able to serve others.
Yeah.
And be available
Absolutely.
for others and for your family or for your friends, because all you're focusing on is this bubble that you're in and you can't really see anything else.
Absolutely.
I think of a lot of times where I'm really a big proponent about being a light. We're all here to be a light to each other, and we have something to give each other. So if I'm so focused on what's going on with me and I'm too busy being mad at somebody and holding a grudge, how can I give that smile or give that word of encouragement that my brother or sister need?
Absolutely.
So the emotional piece is the mental piece is very important. And ways to do that. Some people, go for, meditating or prayer or just having some quiet time or reading a book or taking a hot bath or, whatever it may be, but finding what that is for you. What gives you peace of mind? What gives you that serenity? And making a point every single day to take care of yourself, because it's extremely important, because otherwise you have nothing to give to anyone else.
Yeah, that's really important. And, hopefully you're starting to see that, these things are interconnected. They're woven together. So each one builds off of the other. It's like, it's like almost like a pyramid structure. You kind of have the foundation, and that supports everything up as you go up the pyramid. And so, each one of them will have some crossover, right? So like the meditation and prayer piece, that's good for your spiritual well-being and your spiritual life, but it's also really good for your mental health as well. And you see a lot of studies coming out nowadays, a lot more about meditation and how it's important for your overall well-being and things like that. And so you have scientists and institutions starting to do more and more research into things that spiritual groups have been doing for generations, like fasting and stuff like that. We're going to talk about that a little bit too as we go forward. But the mainstream is starting to pick up on it and buy into it and do more research. So that's really encouraging, I guess. Took them a couple of thousand years to get it, but
yeah. And we even talked about this morning about yoga, you know, and how that really crosses over into like a lot of different areas in here, you know, the physical piece of the exercise, but also the focusing on your breathing and focusing on, you know, peace and letting go of the stress, and then you have the community that's surrounded around it, you know, and just it, you know, there's a pull and a push for a lot of people really jumping into yoga nowadays because of that need to just be.
Yeah.
You know,
Be still,
to be still and not be so, you know, caught up in everything that's going on and so distracted, you know, by everything. So I think that's why it's so important, because we're all longing for that peace. We know something's missing, and some are, you know, using yoga as kind of a form for it too.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So now jumping into the next header, the next big topic that we're going to be touching more on as we go forward is physical wellness and physical well-being. And so when it comes to your physical health, you have two major components. You have your nutrition, that's what you're eating, and you have your physical activity level or exercise. And both are important because of the media, because of advertising and all those kinds of things, supplement companies, so on and so forth. We think that exercise is the most important component. And I'm not knocking exercise. I totally say exercise is important. Physical activity is important. But nutrition is actually most important. Nutrition is more important than exercise, because what you put in is what you get out, right? It's the fuel that drives you forward. And so your nutrition is so key to understand, to promoting physical health. You know, you see a lot of commercials and different programs out there for people to lose weight and all these kinds of things.
Pills.
Yeah, you know, it really wouldn't be an issue if we could get our nutrition under control. And when we say nutrition, we follow a plant-based diet, meaning we eat mostly plant-oriented foods. We don't necessarily call ourselves vegetarian or vegan. We try to stay away from those kind of labels because they can be loaded.
Yeah, they put you in a box.
Yeah, they really put you in a box, because we may eat, you know, a piece of chicken from time to time, or fish or something like that. But we try to eat mostly, like 80% of the time, we're eating plant-based foods, right? So greens, fruits, a lot of different vegetables, nuts, seeds, beans, legumes, things like that. Things that you can get directly from the earth, and that's probably going to be you know, maximizing your plant-based food items is the best for you overall, and there's plenty of research to support that, and we'll share some of that when we get deeper into that piece. The next component is exercise, as I mentioned. Exercise is totally still important, especially in our society, because we are so sedentary. A lot of us work in office spaces. We're sitting for a long period of time. If we were in a farming type of environment or things like that, I would say you don't need to go, you know, work out for 30 minutes, because you are active during the day. So you don't really have to necessarily go and lift weights and stuff like that, because your lifestyle is active. Our culture today, we are not like that. We sit a lot. We sit as we travel because we're driving in cars, things like that. People aren't walking. People are using elevators, escalators, so on and so forth. So exercise now becomes more important because our lifestyles are so.
And our bodies were never made to sit, you know, all the time. That's why we have this structure, so that we are walking and using the stairs. And you know, I work in, you know, long-term care facilities, and so I see a lot of people as they've gotten older needing to have wheelchairs and things like that, and not being able to do simple things as kind of pick something off the ground, or if you were to sit on the ground, be able to get up. You know, and that's so sad, you know, to think about that's not how this body was created to function. So by getting some of these areas, you know, on track now, it can make huge differences, you know, later and throughout generations.
Yeah, I mean, because there's a big myth that's out there too right now that we really want to debunk this myth that you have to go to the gym to be fit or be in shape. I know a lot of people who have gym memberships who never use them.
Nope.
Right? They're still just
working out that money.
Right. They're still overweight and unhealthy, but yet they have a gym membership. Even people that go to the gym on a consistent basis, because they don't really know how to train to meet their specific goal, they're spinning their wheels, right? They're on the treadmill, they're on the elliptical, but then they go home and they, eat McDonald's, and that basically just kills all the work they just did in the gym. And
but
so,
you think it'll balance out though, right?
Well, that is the myth. That's a part of the myth, right? That's a part of the myth that's out there. I discovered through a lot of exploration and just kind of trial and error that you really don't necessarily need to have a gym membership or even go to a gym to be physically fit and strong, right, and build muscle and things like that. You can do that in the comfort of your home. You can get just a couple of items that are relatively inexpensive, have in your home, and you can work out at home. You don't necessarily need to go to a gym or buy into a bunch of programs and P90X this and all that kind of stuff. And again, nothing wrong with those programs. We've used some of those programs. It's not a problem. But you don't have to think that is your only way of experiencing physical health.
Yeah.
That's the myth. Mm-hmm. And it's sold to us through very good, well-funded marketing campaigns. Mm-hmm. And it makes us believe we need all these supplements and we got to have this. If you don't have this, then you can never get a six-pack and all this kind of thing.
Protein drink every morning.
Right, and so it's like there's just a lot of false information out there when it comes to physical health and fitness that we really want to shine the light on that industry and kind of set you free from those from that bondage that can have us in.
Yeah, YouTube is great. Any kind of workout you want, you can type it into YouTube and find it. If you're because when I was working in our office, primarily I kind of did yoga for office workers. And there's stuff out there. Mm-hmm. So you can stay limber and active and, and all of that based on whatever you want to do, 5-minute this, you don't need a whole bunch of time. Just getting moving a little bit, can make a big difference. But nutrition, is really the key to really hone in on what are you putting in your body. I don't need coffee in the morning because I have a fruit and veggie smoothie that we have every morning. And that gives me the energy that I need to get going. And I see people that drink coffee every day being sluggish and and all of that. So it's nice to get that natural energy because when we eat, we get energized. We don't have that kind of crash afterwards.
Yeah, there's other things too, and these topics are so expansive. It's really we're trying to hold back a lot, but there's things like Kiana's talking about energy and how our bodies process energy and things like that. Fasting comes into play here as well. Every single person on the planet fasts every single day. It's called sleeping, right? Mm-hmm. So from whatever time at night you go to bed to whatever time you wake up in the morning, you fasted, right? You went 7, 8, 10 hours with no food. Mm-hmm. Well, back in the day, way back in the day, not that far back, but back in the day, fasting was a major component to physical health. And it kind of, because of some of the influences of the food industries and the exercise industries, they made you believe, well, if you don't eat, you're going to die, and you're going to go catatonic and all this kind of stuff. Again, false information because they're trying to sell you a product, right? But we'll talk some about fasting and intermittent fasting and how you can incorporate that into your life to promote well-being. Mm-hmm. So now we'll jump to relational well-being, and we're getting close. We only got like 6 minutes left, so we got to hustle through these next.
Yep. So relational. So recognizing that, like I said, we're not here on our own. You're not the only one on this earth, on this planet. We are made to have relationships, and we were kind of looking into some things about even children. If you think about babies, babies can die without getting that nurturing, without being touched and getting that compassion and love. They can die, from that. And there's been studies and different things like that you all can look into if you want. But it just shows the importance of us connecting with each other and recognizing the need that we have for each other. We need each other, because we have gifts and talents and all of that that work the best when we work together. Because as we were going through these different pieces, the mental and relational pieces are things that are really strong for me. And the, like financial and physical and, things like that, he's really strong in those areas, and just how we really play off each other and work together to have a holistic perspective.
Yeah.
And if you ever think about, if you've ever been mad and some people just kind of want to withdraw when they're mad and you don't go to things you used to, and you kind of pull back, that takes a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
When you do that, and it's really draining too. And you realize that you feel more empty when you go into your cocoon than you would have if you would have just reached out to someone and talked to them about what's going on.
Yeah.
And being able to get that support from them.
Yeah.
So this piece is extremely important. Obviously, there's so much to go into with it that we don't have time for now. But just a key piece to know that we were created to work together and to have each other and to be a support for one another. Absolutely. And that can start with your families, that can start with friends, whatever it is for you. But it's just a very important piece in all of this to help each other.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, each topic is going to have its own session or multiple sessions to talk about, because there's subcategories to each major topic as well that we definitely want to touch on over time. So more to come on relationships.
Yeah. Last
but certainly not least, financial wellness, financial well-being, right? I mean, one of the key goals of the Vision Driven Family Institute is to educate leaders and help them build wealth for themselves and for future generations. Mm-hmm. So we have to have financial well-being, both on an individual level, then on your nuclear families level, and then on the bigger family, the extended family level, right? All three components, you have to have good financial health. And one way you do that is by eliminating debt, decreasing your debt obligations, because debt takes money out of your pocket. You are paying interest, and that is making someone else rich. And you want to flip that equation and use interest for your benefit, not to your detriment. And so we're going to talk about strategies and ways to eliminate debt in your life. We have lived these principles, and we are living these principles. We have zero debt of any kind as of right now today. Now, we did recently purchase a home, so we will be acquiring debt for that purchase, but for a period of time, that is acceptable if you have eliminated all other forms of debt. So student loans, credit card debt, medical bills, so on and so forth. You want to eliminate debt. And we bought a home with no credit score.
Yep.
Shocker. No credit score at all, because we have no active lines of credit open. So therefore, FICO doesn't have anything to report for us. But yet we were still able to get conventional financing for our home purchase and buy the size home that we wanted to purchase. So we will teach you how to do that. It's all legal, nothing crazy. We're talking right. We're talking about hard work. We're talking about extra jobs. We're talking about increasing your income, because your income is your greatest wealth building tool. So that's what we're going to be talking about. So stay tuned for the financial class. We were coordinators of a financial what word am I trying to use?
Not plan.
No. Anyway, it's called Financial Peace University. We coordinated that. It's something that Dave Ramsey created. And so we know what we're talking about in this area for sure. We've taught it to others, and they have even had some success with eliminating debt and building wealth. So definitely stay tuned to the financial wellness section.
Yeah, and that's an area that a lot of people have so much stress in. And if you have stress in your finances, that inevitably will impact your your peace of mind, like we were talking about. You may not be able to do as many things with other people because you can't afford it, and just all of this stuff, all of it connects together too. and just having freedom in that area can be so liberating and wonderful. Yeah, so I'll stop there. There's so much more I can say, but I'll stop there.
Curriculum. That was the word I was looking for.
Got it.
So that is the conclusion of our broadcast for today. Tons of information to get through, but you know, we definitely are looking forward to bringing forth more information to you as we go forward in this journey of holistic wellness, as we move forward with the Vision Driven Family Institute.
Yes.
We want to close out with our second quote of the day, and the quote today is coming from, it's an Australian Aboriginal proverb. All right. Those who lose dreaming are lost. Those who lose dreaming are lost. Let that sink in.
Yeah.
We encourage you to keep dreaming, keep
Yes.
pushing, keep fighting. Until next time.
Your voice sounds so smooth with the music.
I'm Andrew Joyner.
Like you're about to start flowing. I'm Kiana Joyner.
And this is the intro to Holistic Wellness.
Yes, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And more to come.
Be blessed.